Hello everyone. So we all have these deep-rooted beliefs that we and only we know best what is best for us. When we go shopping, for example, we choose a certain pair of shoes over all the others. When we enter in college, we choose a certain major over all the others. When we choose partner, we choose a certain person over all the others. So in a way, we are convinced that we know best what we like, we know best what we want, but can we really trust our wants and desires? This is the question. If you think so, you're living in an illusion. So let me show you how our minds cannot be trusted with two very interesting but different behavioral economic principles. So first, let's look at Kahneman. We have what Kahneman calls peak end rule. So peak end rule is basically when people judge an experience largely based on how they felt at its peak, the most intense emotional moment of that experience, and its very end, rather than calculating the experience like happiness or pain in every moment of time, the total sum of the experience. So for example, when we go on a trip with friends, we usually remember some of the coolest moments when, for example, we got lost in the forest or maybe someone bumped into a tree. We remember those funniest, emotionally high moments. But we usually forget the small details, for example, like a little things we were eating or maybe like a little thing someone said. We usually forget those over time. And also how the experience ended. If it ended great, then we have a great impression of it. If it ended, a car broke, you're probably gonna remember that as a kind of bad experience. So for Kahneman, he has this, what he called two selves, the experiencing self and the remembering self. The intuitive thing is we may think that we make judgments about what we want based on our real past experiences, and it makes a lot of sense. But the thing is, the only reference we have to judge anything are our memories, and our memories can be flawed, and it's proven. Our brain has a selective memory governed by the peak end rule. Neglecting the time period something was either amazing or painful altogether. So if this sounds too abstract, let me break it down, looking at the actual cold hand experiment that was done by Kahneman and his colleagues. So in this experiment, participants had to hold their hand in a painful 14 degrees Celsius water for 60 seconds. After that, they were given a 7-minute break. They take the hand out, and after a while, they were asked to hold their other hand in that same water. So after 60 seconds had passed, the experimenter opened a little warmer water valve at the bottom of the tank and raised the water temperature from 14 degrees to 15 degrees Celsius, 1 degree, and let the participants sit there for 30 more seconds with their hand. After the second trial ended, all hands were up. The participants were given a break again and were asked which of the two experiences would they choose to repeat again in the third trial. So what do you think? What would they choose? Well, we all would agree that humans have a strong preferences to prolong pleasure and shorten pain as much as possible. Well, makes a lot of sense. So logically, choosing between 60 seconds of pain and 90 seconds of pain, we would probably choose the 60 seconds of pain, the shorter one, to reduce the suffering. Nevertheless, the participants preferred the second trial. Well, you may think that doesn't make any sense, right? People are illogical. But no, they're not crazy. Well, let's break it down and look at the first trial first. So what is the peak moment of the first trial? the first hand was put in the water for 60 seconds, and the longer you keep it in the freezing water, the more painful it gets, most likely, right? So the peak moment will probably be at the 60 seconds. And remember, at the 60 seconds, participants were asked to pull their hand up. So basically, the peak moment and end moment was very much at the peak of the pain. That combined together was exactly what they remembered in their remembering self. Well, let's look at the second trial. At the second trial, remember, the peak moment was still probably the 60 seconds when they hold the hand in the freezing water, but after 60 seconds, they open a warmer water valve, and well, that made a lot of relief. Even 1 degrees, people really felt it because it's freezing. And exactly that made the end moment slightly better off than in the first trial, and made people remember it as a better experience, basically. So, well, now we know that a memory is not exactly the experience itself, and it's our memory that determines our preferences and what we choose in the future. Now we know that a memory is basically a little fact. And so now we know from Kahneman that a memory simply cannot be trusted. Well, let's now look at the second claim, why our wants are not to be trusted, with reference to Ariely's book, Predictably Rational. Well, Ariely points out that most people don't even know what they want in the first place unless they see it in the context. For example, when we choose headphones, we don't even know what headphones we like until we hear something that sounds better than our previous headphones. That's simple. Another example would be, we don't even know what we want to do with our lives unless we see a relative or friend or someone just randomly on internet doing something we want to be doing and we see ourselves doing. So it's all from something we experience and something relatively in comparison to something else. So we're looking at things around us in relation to others, like restaurant prices, educational options, partners, vacations, emotions, attitudes. We wouldn't know what is happiness, like some people say, unless we experience some crap, basically. Let's look at the famous study done by Ariely, which illustrates perfectly how this works. So one day, Ariely stumbled upon the advertisement on Economist magazine website, which had 3 subscription options. The first one was web subscription for $59. The second one is print subscription for $125. And the third one is print and web subscription for the same $125. This doesn't make any sense, right? Why would print subscription cost exactly the same as both services combined? Doesn't make any sense. Well, Ariely had the same question in mind. That's why he conducted a study, a questionnaire with college students. He gave up the questionnaire, and it turned out that most people rationally probably chose the print and web subscription as he thought they would. Because in this day and age, people don't really need much print subscription anymore. And if you can get print plus web subscription with the price of the print, well, it makes a lot of sense to choose that. So 84% of people choose print plus web subscription. 16% of people chose the web subscription, and absolutely 0% of people chose print subscription. Well, he concluded that print subscription might be just irrelevant. Why would they even include it here in the first place if people don't choose it anyway? People don't need it right now. So he conducted another study. He took out the option with a print subscription, only left with the two, web subscription and the print and web subscription. So in this study, it turned out that now most people will choose the web subscription only instead. Well, this doesn't make a lot of sense. Why would people choose so differently if we just take out the option that they don't even need in the first place? Well, the thing is, the print subscription option is there for a reason. And it has very psychological reason behind it. It's there to trick our mind, basically, to mislead us a bit, to create a context in which we choose something different. Well, to explain, we can see that in normal circumstances, we would probably don't need the print subscription, right? So we would automatically choose the cheaper option, the web subscription. We would save a lot of money. It's $59. It's much cheaper than the two other ones. So it's logical one to choose if we think rationally, like an economist. But however, when we see the print subscription for the same price as the print plus web subscription, this is when our mind is kind of tricked. Well, we're getting two services for the same price. Well, it's kind of make a lot of sense to choose two instead of one. We are comparing the print subscription and web subscription, and we're suddenly forgetting the first one after all. It's in conclusion, guys, do not believe what you want. It can be really misleading.